This season has quite a number of teams celebrating an anniversary of some kind, and I think a lot of them did a very good job. You have the Rangers and the Red Wings, who look amazing with their 100th anniversary jerseys. The Minnesota Wild and their 25th anniversary jersey is so cool. I love the fact that the Colorado Avalanche went back to the Nordiques for their 30th anniversary jersey. Even the San Jose Sharks, I'm not a massive fan of that jersey, but I still think it looks pretty good. Really, for myself, the only miss in terms of an actual jersey is the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't think that they did a super great job, but, you know, it's the Blackhawks. I shouldn't be expecting too much out of them. And then we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, who, like the Minnesota Wild, are also celebrating their 25th anniversary. However, they decided not to go with a jersey and just stick with a patch. There is two different versions of this patch, though, so I think that is kind of cool. One is for their home and away, which is the regular Columbus logo, and then the other one is for their alternate jersey, which has the Cannon logo. They've done that before with their 20th anniversary season, but yeah, I think the patch looks good. You know, it just has 25 in the state outline of Ohio there, and then just the logo at the bottom. So it's not a super complicated patch, but I think it does look fine. For me, though, I was really hoping that they would bring back a jersey for their 25th anniversary and do basically what the Minnesota Wild did and bring back their inaugural season jersey. I love the inaugural season jersey so much for the Blue Jackets. I think it is their best jersey. It is so sweet. So them not doing an on-ice version, it does suck. However, they have done a replica version that you can buy in the team store and online through their team store. Obviously, I would much prefer an actual version of this jersey where the players wear it on ice. You can buy the Authentic Pro, you can buy the Premium, but if the Columbus Blue Jackets didn't want to do that, if that was not in their plans, I really like the fact that they're doing this, because there are a lot of times where there's a jersey that I would really like for the team to throw back to, and they don't do it. The Boston Bruins did a pretty good job with their centennial season. They did like an old inaugural season sweater, and I think that version was really cool. I thought the Red Wings were going to do something similar, because with the release of their centennial jersey in their video teaser, they did show a couple of sweaters that were produced by Hockeytown. Like, that was just what it said on the tag. So they were new sweaters that weren't produced by anyone before, but they haven't released them on their website yet. I've been looking and I've been wanting to get one of them, and they haven't done it. So that is kind of disappointing. I'm hoping that they actually release those at some point. If they don't, I actually would be kind of mad, because that was a pretty big tease. But those are sweaters, so it's a little bit different, whereas this Columbus one, it's an actual jersey. So yeah, it's nice that they're doing this. Even though it's a great thing that this is an option, is it a good option? That's what I want to take a look at today, because the original version of this jersey, it's not super difficult to find online. You can find them, you know, basically on eBay, and they're not super expensive for the most part. So we're going to compare the original version of these jerseys to the new replica version that Columbus is releasing. I asked a few people for pictures, since the online photos didn't really show the jersey all too well. So thank you to Random Guy CDN as well as Luke for these pictures. I do appreciate it. Yeah, let's go ahead and compare these two jerseys. Before we do so, if you're new to the channel and you like hockey jersey content, please make sure to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Okay, so here is their 25th anniversary throwback replica jersey, basically the new version that they released this year. You can see that it is produced by CCM, which is how it was produced for the replica jerseys back in the day as well. Although I'm pretty sure Coho and Pro Player made a couple of them as well. Just kind of depends on the season that you're looking at. But yeah, CCM made some of these jerseys back in the day, so we'll compare a CCM version to this one right here. The one thing that I'm not too certain about is how these jerseys compare to the AHL jerseys. Because if you're unaware, the AHL jerseys are produced by CCM right now. So I don't know if they're similar, and the people that I asked, they didn't really know, because they didn't have any AHL jerseys. They had only bought this one right here. So I'm not too sure about that, but these jerseys are made in Vietnam, and as far as I'm aware, that is where the AHL jerseys are also being made. So I think it would be very similar to what the AHL jerseys, at least in terms of the replica jerseys, are like right now as well. The actual design of this jersey, of course, I love it. Like I talked about earlier, this is my favorite design for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I love the logo so much. I think that logo is so neat, and Stinger on the shoulder, God, I love him so much. I have him on my hat right here. You can see I love Stinger. I was so sad that he didn't come back for any of the reverse retros. I was really hoping he would be on one of the shoulders, and he wasn't. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I wanted the Blue Jackets to do an on-ice version of this thing, because I just want to see him on a jersey again on the ice. And I think it would have been also really cool if the Blue Jackets maybe did their dark version of this jersey, so they could wear their inaugural season jersey against the Minnesota Wild's inaugural season jersey. I think that could have been really cool. But of course, yeah, that's not what happened. Just the look of this thing. I love the blue going down the sleeve there and the kind of stars at the cuff. It's just a very nice looking jersey. I really like it a lot. But let's go on to our next picture, and we can talk about some stuff that I maybe don't love a whole lot about this jersey in particular, the way that it's produced. So if we move on to our next picture, this is what the logo looks like. Now, for most of you guys, you might say, okay, that looks perfectly fine. I don't really see anything wrong with it. You might say, oh, okay, that doesn't look like the logo is stitched on. And that is true, but that's also true for the original jerseys as well, at least in terms of the replica version. Of course, I'm talking about just the replica versions here, not any of the on ice or the authentic jerseys. So yeah, that's not the issue, although I would like for the logos to be stitched on, but whatever. My problem is the silver in this logo. Well, it's not really silver, it's a gray, right? That gray outline. If we look at the original logo, we can see that it is silver. It's an actual silver, and it's embroidered as well, where that's not the case with this one here. And really just overall, the logo is made fairly differently. You know, there is some raised aspects to the red where that wasn't the case on the original. And yeah, the blue at the end is raised as well. So it is made very differently from the original logo. And I don't mind the differences on the new logo, except for, like I said, the silver just not being silver, just being gray. That is a huge disappointment to myself. I think it does make the logo look a lot worse. And I think it's mostly just because of the fact that the silver is supposed to outline everything. So the fact that it's more of a dull gray on the new jersey, it does make it feel a little bit more bland, and it doesn't stand out as well as it does on the original. And unfortunately, that does carry over onto the Stinger shoulder patch as well. So we can see on the new one, again, it's outlined in what is supposed to be silver, but it looks more like a gray, where on the older one, the original one, it is that silver embroidered. It does also have an outline around it as well on the older one, that blue outline. So I actually like the newer version a little bit better in that sense, where it is just the silver outline and it doesn't have that extra blue. But of course, once again, doesn't have that embroidery. So it doesn't really look as great, at least in my eyes. I think the silver looks a lot better on the original. Outside of that, though, Stinger does look pretty much the exact same. So it's really just that gray. That's like really the only thing that is really ticking me off about these new ones. Is just that gray. That gray really does not look very good. Another thing that is different is with the new jerseys, the white on the jersey is just white. There's no pattern to it, where that was a thing on the original one. So you can see with this other picture here, there's a very subtle pattern to it. It's like a super, super light gray. I wonder how many people even really know that's a thing, because to be honest, you can't tell in most pictures of this jersey, and you only really notice in person. At least that's the only time that I can really notice, unless, you know, you get a picture like this where it's really focusing in on that pattern. So yeah, it is super subtle, and honestly, it was my least favorite part about the original version of the jersey. I don't think it looks particularly great, even though you can barely see it. It still doesn't look very good once you see it, at least in my opinion. I'm not really even too sure why they had it on the original jersey. Maybe it's supposed to be like, you know, the stars and stripes, you know, the American flag, but, you know, just without the stars. I'm not really too sure why it's there. I don't think it looks very good. So the fact that it's not on the new jerseys here, I like that aspect. That's a positive change, at least in my books. And then our next two pictures are just showing off that the logos are not stitched on. They're just heat pressed on. But like I mentioned before, that's how it was on the replica versions of the jersey as well. So not really a new thing, but yeah, it's something that they probably could have done for these jerseys. It would have been nice, especially at the price point that they're selling these things for. It's $200 American for one of these jerseys, which is quite a bit, especially considering that just regular premium jerseys go for $180 American, although these jerseys are being sold at the team store, so you do have that team store tax, because I think just regular jerseys, blank jerseys, are being sold at $195 American for, you know, just the regular home and away. So there is that team store tax. But yeah, at $200 American, you probably should be stitching down the logos, at least in my opinion. And that doesn't even include the patch as well. If you want the patch on this jersey, it's an extra $15. So you're paying $215 for this jersey where nothing is stitched on. It's all just heat pressed on. So it's a lot of money for this jersey where, like, yeah, honestly, I like the idea. I think the idea, the fact that they are at least doing a fan version of this jersey, I respect that a lot. I'm happy about that. But the execution does fall a little bit flat for me. In my opinion, you know, I think that there is just other options to get the original version online. They're not super difficult to find, and they're cheaper than the $215, at least from the ones that I've seen. Maybe you'll find a couple that are a little bit more expensive, but yeah, you might have to wait until one pops up in your size. You might not be able to get one right away, but eventually you'll find one, and you'll find one for cheaper than the $215. The only thing that could give you a little bit more of an edge for the new jersey compared to the old ones is maybe the fit and the feel of them. But like I said, I don't have one personally, so I can't really confirm whether it is a better feel and fit compared to the older jerseys. And I like the fit of the older CCM jerseys a lot anyways, so I probably would like the fit of the older ones myself personally. So yeah, it's kind of disappointing that we didn't get an on-ice version, and the replica version that we got is not a great one. It's not the worst thing out there. I would say, like, I don't think this is a terrible version, but just, kind of disappointing. It doesn't really get me too excited. At least I got to see Stinger on the shoulder patch of a jersey again. That's a good thing, so you got to take the good with the bad. That's going to do it for me, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think about this jersey in the comments down below. If you got one, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Am I being too harsh on it, or am I being fair? I'd love to know. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.